Stepping into Pilbara mangrove systems in Western Australia is such an amazing experience because so many of these systems are almost completely unexplored.
Very remote areas and heavily tidally influenced, so these are areas that you can only access for like maybe once or twice a year. So each time we go into one of these systems, we're exploring it for the first time and seeing some incredible, unique wildlife that maybe we won't ever get to see again. So this week on Something Wild, we decided to take the Bar Crusher 670C on a big adventure into the remote mangrove systems of the Pilbara coast.
We're putting along and it's pretty exciting seeing all the wildlife that this system's supporting, but of course we're pretty keen to get in some fish, and first thing we wanted to have a go at was trying to get a few mullet with a throw net. But turns out it wasn't as easy as we were planned. These mullet were pretty switched on. A lot of carrying this thing around, not much throwing. Some of those seabirds, they're the biggest threat to fish like mullet and whiting, and they're coming from above. So these fish have adapted to have really good sight through the water and above. So as you're stalking them from the edge, they're always seeing you before you get there, and that's part of the challenge and part of the fun of going and trying to get a few mullet with the throw net. Oh. Here we go, we're on the board.
Yeah, a lot of people would think that when you're using a throw net that you're just pulling in 20 or 30 fish at a time, but it was not any more productive than any other fishing method. But we wanted to get really deep into the mangroves and actually do some diving.
It's completely different to diving in blue water. Diving in blue water, the main thing is your breath hold and being able to stay down as long as possible. Diving in these mangroves, the main thing is trying not to get tangled up. Yeah, it's pretty much impossible. Just imagine kind of crawling through a set of bushes with a spear gun and trying to get a moving target.
Oh, definitely. 2 people, a camera, and a spear gun, all getting tangled up, trying to stay really close together in the low vis. It's all a bit of a struggle. But another challenge is trying not to put your hand down on a stingray's barb.
It's a dangerous environment for a number of reasons, but yeah, it's pretty thrilling to explore.
And of course, when you're diving areas like this, there's always a risk of crocodiles. So I put the drone up to make sure that we were being as croc aware as possible. And then by the time I'd gotten back ready to dive, Tropi had already speared a mullet.
Yeah, it's so productive if you can get in there, particularly if you're happy to target some of those less targeted species like mullet and whiting. And for us, they're great eating fish. You know, mullet's such a rich flavour, and they're a herbivore. They're bottom of the food chain and really productive. So they're a great one to target if you do want to shift the pressure off. And one of the best things is the challenge is targeting a really fast, small fish in a mangrove system where you can only just fit to the roots and almost no visibility. And that pretty much occupied us for a couple of days.
Well, when you kept coming up with 2 mullet on the end of your spear, I was like, is he aiming at anything?
You do have to still target individual fish, and then sometimes you get lucky and get a double in there.
So you need to aim at a fish, but it's not always the fish you're aiming for that you ended up coming up with either.
No, we did get one bonus little mullet. So yeah, completely missed one of the big mullet, and then just saw a mullet get an encounter he probably wasn't expecting in the background there. And yeah, very surprised to bring in an accidental mullet, a missed mullet kill.
Still made for a pretty good snack for us. But then very shortly afterwards, you came up with a boonta mullet. This must have been the biggest mullet I've ever seen in my life.
they were still heaps cagier, those bigger ones. So we saw some bigger ones moving through. It was great to get one, and the flesh when you cut it was like red with fat. It was rich with roe and eggs. So these are in pre-spawn condition, and you know, with all fish, that's when they're going to be in the best condition to eat, which is really great. And you know, if it's a stock that's really struggling, you'd obviously never want to take them pre-spawn, but yeah, with a fish with that little pressure, of course, yeah, it's just fantastic because you're getting such a high flesh quality.
So Tropi, you got 3 fish here. I mean, most people would assume that you took 3 shots to get these, huh?
Dingus is very proud of the double kill. Then I missed a couple, so the average is about 1 per shot in the end.
We don't talk about the misses, do we? So now that we've harvested dinner, it was time to find ourselves a place to camp for the night. And the issue with this area is because there's such big tides, none of the land is dry all the time. So it's hard to find a dry place to camp for the night. But luckily with the Bar Crusher 670C, there's plenty of places to camp right here.
Yeah, we had the option to camp in the boat, which is a good backup, but we still had a system we would plan to get to for that night that was quite sheltered in case the wind blew up. It was still about 10 to 15 nautical mile away, which was pretty far. We just planned to be a bit closer before the sunset. So with the sun going down and a rapidly falling tide, it was time to trim the motor up, get on the plane and see how much ground we could cover before it got dark. Sunset, and it's not as deep as before. Yeah, thoughts?
Go slow. Hey, you know what the thing about the Bar Crusher 670C is, you know, even when you're in 0.3 meters of water, you just lift up the leg of the motor, get out and push. Sometimes today we'd have to push about 25 miles to get to a suitable camping spot.
So we did finally get into that system, which was a huge relief for us. We knew then we were going to have enough water for the night. It was time to set up camp, which of course camp means not leaving the Bar Crusher. Which is great. You know, we have worked out all perfect areas for everything.
Give me my bed from outside of your bedroom. Yeah, it kind of fits. Your setup looks pretty good, huh? Oh, you got an airflow? You got a porthole in there? Mosquito net? The Bar Crusher 670C can probably sleep up to like 12, really.
Yeah, it works really well for 2 people to live on here for a couple of days.
Oh, yeah, well, we made an absolutely world-class meal. Oh, nature's bounty.
Isn't off the crust. Not getting off for 48 hours.
Michael Tropiano, you've outdone yourself.
It was so good. You're finally on anchor, you settle in for the night, and you got a plate of beautiful fresh whiting mullet, fresh off the barbie, nice glass of red to wash it down with. But of course, when you're in these systems, as it gets dark, the mosquitoes and sandflies are super gnarly. So you can cover yourself up as much as you want. They're always going to get you. One thing we found works really well is getting a big mosquito net. We kind of attach it to the top here and dangle it down.
Oh, mate, are you sleeping in there?
Yeah, I'll put the African princess set up in there.
Oh, mate, you are living very pretty. You look like an African princess. Oh, yeah, I'll just sleep back here. Ultimate boys' night. Do I look like an African princess, too? Night, Tropidopoulos.
Yeah, he was sleeping naked as the day I was born.
That's good. How'd you sleep, Michael?
Oh yeah, not too bad.
African princess.
So beautiful sunrise, weather's looking really good. We're keen to get one more mission back in the water before we head home. And on that fang to the creek that evening before, we had seen a couple of really likely looking oyster stacks. So rocks covered in oysters that looked pretty productive, and we're keen to go give them a go.
Yeah, so we found ourselves in this little oyster cave and we parked up the Bar Crusher next to it and we thought we'd go for a dive. And yeah, this cave was actually pretty filled up with some mangrove jacks.
as you get in there, I kind of wedge myself in a corner and the jacks are moving through. I've spotted a really good sized one at the back and it finally comes in front of the gun and a really nice easy shot. And at that stage I'm thinking, job done, big jack for the day.
Yeah, you'd think that. Yeah, until the spear gets lodged way deep in the cave, and yeah, we spent about the next hour diving in this cave and getting absolutely torn up by the sharp oysters. And yeah, I thought at one point that maybe you weren't going to be able to squeeze back out.
It has a few different entrances, so we were swimming the gun all the way through the cave, and swimming's an exaggeration. You're not swimming, you're lying in the cave and dragging yourself along the roof of the cave to get through, push the gun through, and then try and get your legs out without absolutely shredding your wetsuit. Eventually we did get the gun out and we got the fish out, which was a really cool way to end that little adventure.
Very fun moment, because at one point I definitely thought we were going to lose the mangrove jack and lose the spear gun. The fact that we recovered both and we came up with pretty high morale at that
I thought
point.
you were going to say you're worried about losing me.
Oh, well, you know what you're doing. You know, I'm always a bit more focused on making sure I get the film than your personal safety, but...
It's so funny you say that, because from my perspective, I'm always focused on the fish thinking, you're spotting me so I can do whatever, so good to know you're worried about the film.
Maybe we need a third person in the crew, actually.
Yeah, looking for an unpaid intern. Such a great trip, exploring such an amazing area, and as you're heading home, you're just thinking about how lucky it is that this area is still so pristine.
Yeah, the fact that we made it out at all was a pretty huge undertaking, and we managed to just make the most of the tides and catch those rare windows where we could actually get into where we wanted to go. And of course, the Bar Crusher 670C allowed us to do just that. Thank you for experiencing Something Wild with us.